Daydreamaholic by C. Don McCallum. Chapter 3. A wave of snickering rolled over Marcie in the hallway. Eyes met hers, then turned to friends. They giggled. People stared at her. They looked her up and down. It was the same kind of laugh, the same kind of looks as this morning. What now? Marcie asked herself, trying not to panic. She could feel her face getting hot again, but moved down the hall in slow motion as the tips of fingers pointed in her direction. I know I fixed my jacket, she thought, tugging at the ends of it just in case. She looked around. Maybe they're not even looking at me. Maybe I'm just being paranoid. But the kids behind her really seemed to be looking at her too. About to pretend it was all in her imagination, she saw something down the hallway that caught her eye. Brandon and Tabitha stood a few feet in front of her. Tabitha was talking to him. The squeaking shrill of her laugh twisted Marcie's stomach. Oh, please, I just ate, she thought. And why does she have to fling her hair like that? Marcie was so distracted by the two of them that she didn't even see the people pointing at her anymore. Walking past, she thought, we see how perfectly shiny and blonde it is, Tabitha. Everyone sees you talking to Brandon. She strained to try to hear what the cheerleader was saying, but she couldn't understand their low whispers, punctuated by Tabitha's over-the-top laugh. The only voice that she could hear clearly was Tyrone Davis' loud, hall-flooding voice. Well, at least she fixed her jacket, she overheard him tell Chad and Sly. What? She asked herself. She couldn't have heard him right. Yeah, that must have been some pit stop, Chad replied. What? Her head was about to explode. This was too much. So they had noticed. Marcie knew they probably talked about it to Brandon, too, causing a great source of amusement for the morning. Great, maybe they'll still be laughing about it at lunch today, she thought. I'll have to be sure to sit really close so I can hear all of their cut downs about what a loser I am. She could see it now. Tyrone with his foot up on a chair, leaning over his knee, laughing hysterically. Chad twisting his shirt around his hands and prancing around the cafeteria. Hi, everybody, he'll screech in a girly, high-pitched voice. I'm Marcie Taylor. I just loved that touchdown Brandon scored yesterday. Then, of course, Tyrone will join in, not wanting to miss out on all this fun. Oh, I just love Brandon, even though I'm such a loser and he'll never like me. And Brandon will be there for all of their hilarious insights. He might even add a few himself. Brandon would never notice her now, not after what happened this morning, at least not in the way she wanted to be noticed. This day was getting worse and worse. This isn't what she wanted at all. What she wanted was for her daydreams to be real. She wanted Brandon to bring her a pink rose corsage and to hold her close to him during a slow song at the social. He would sing to her in her ear, and that would make her feel like the most special girl in the school. She wanted to make him feel good about himself, too. Laugh at all his jokes. Be supportive when he didn't have a good game. She wanted to make her friends, all of the other girls, and most of all Tabitha, feel jealous that they couldn't have something as special as what she and Brandon had young, perfect love. But instead of her daydreams coming true, Marcie walked through the middle of this nightmare, and now everyone was laughing at her about what happened this morning. Boy, word travels fast around her, she thought. The hallway closed in around her. The narrow little world grew smaller and smaller, restricting her breathing. She found a piece of wall and leaned up against it to wait for Sammy. Where is she, anyway? She just couldn't shake the feeling that people were snickering at her all over the place. But she had Brandon on the brain and couldn't be sure. She tugged again at her band jacket to make sure it really was fixed, but all she wanted to do was run away where no one could see her. She wanted to step out of this moving display case and find a nice quiet place to cry. A hand tugged at her shoulder. Sammy stood at her side with raised eyebrows. They looked panicked, as if they had read her thoughts. Marcie, Sammy said. Okay, girl. Serious fashion faux pas. She was looking down at Marcie's feet. A chain of toilet paper streamed behind her from the sole of her right shoe. Marcie stamped it off so forcefully that she almost fell on her friend, but Sammy held her up and started her moving down the hallway as if nothing had happened. Just start walking, Sammy told her. Come on, smile, laugh. A huge roar of laughter escaped Marcie's chest. That's what they were looking at. I meant to do that, she told Sammy, where everyone around them could hear. Oh, I know, Sammy said, cracking up. I was actually going to do that later today, but maybe I won't now. You know, it's been done. Yeah, it's so played, Marcie said with a serious look on her face. Sammy matched her stoic expression. Their eyes met again, and the girls held their stomachs with laughter as they turned the corner. Even though they left the giggles, the funny looks, and the whole embarrassing incident behind them, Marcie thought it would take a while for her to really walk away from it in her mind. Well, that'll give you something to write about in your journal, Sammy said, laughing. Oh, great. That's what I need. More journal material, Marcie replied. They laughed again. Marcie was so glad her friend had been there. It's a whole lot easier to laugh at yourself if a friend is there with you when you do something stupid like that. Only a friend would brave entering a bad situation by coming over to help her friend who unwittingly accessorized her footwear with toilet paper. Her heart was lighter, but she still felt dumb about it all. She wished a magic fairy really could come and take away all her mistakes. She was like a cockroach, and a great big shoe of embarrassment was hovering over her, ready to squash her. I've had the worst morning, Marcie mumbled, trying to push back down the rising lump in her throat. She took a deep breath. The girls walked for a while in silence. The students around them took advantage of their last few minutes to hang out until the next passing period. They stopped in front of Marcie's locker. The murmurs of the students were dying down, so the bell must have been about to ring. Hey, try not to worry about it, okay? Sammy said, giving her friend a little hug. One day you'll look back at this and laugh. In fact, if you don't mind, I think I'll go ahead and laugh myself to class. Okay, Marcie said, a smile forcing its way onto her face. She waved to her friend who was already belly laughing her way down the hall. Sammy held up a hand to say goodbye until the passing period. Even though she was feeling a little better now, she still had trouble getting her hands to turn the combination right. Just focus on the numbers, Marcie said on her third try opening her locker. 243619, she said aloud, taking a breath between each number to keep her cool. Then a rush of energy hopped up beside her. Did you forget your combination? Someone asked. Huh? Marcie said, wanting to look up. Who would be talking to me? She wondered. You know, your combination. Did you forget it? She could tell by the shoes that never stopped moving that it was Matt Ornella's. He always wore those gym shoes and talked like he was about to break out in song. How could he be so happy all the time? Marcie wondered. He must not have any real teenage problems like me. No, I remember it, she told him. It would be something I'd do, though, considering the day I've had so far. Oh, I wouldn't worry about the toilet paper thing, Matt said, taking out his math book. He tried to smooth down his cowlick that perpetually jutted out over his right eye. So you saw it too? Great, she said, trying to avoid eye contact even more than before. Her face was on fire again. She wished Sammy were still here to get this guy out of here. Man, that was pretty funny, he chuckled in a friendly way. He slammed his locker and jumped around to face her. But I wouldn't worry about it if I was you. Stuff like that happens to everybody. I just happen to be the one that everyone in the whole school sees it happen to, she said, putting her English book and folder in her binder. No, seriously. Matt got kind of quiet for him, but he still looked like he was about to explode. Don't worry about it. I wanted to come help you out, you know, but I saw that Sammy had it under control. He nodded very seriously. Then his usual puppy dog demeanor seized him again. Matt had a nice smile, and he was fun to be around, but it didn't help Marcie much. He was always smiling at everybody, and it didn't change the fact that she felt like a total loser. She was having a hard time dealing with him being near her now, all bouncy like that. She had to get out of there before she started screaming, before she did something to further confirm her as the queen of the outcasts. She took one last look at her books, her tiger beat pictures hanging in her locker, and slammed the door. She stood quickly, grasping her binder in front of her as if it would protect her from whatever else was waiting for her. Matt was still staring at her with his wild, happy eyes. "Hey," Matt said, slapping her on the back. "I hope your day goes better." Even though she could tell he meant it, she just couldn't see how it was going to help. This was already turning out to be the worst day of her life. Thank you for listening to Daydreamaholic by C. Dawn McCallum. If you're enjoying this story, please consider sharing it with someone you know, and please like the video and subscribe to this channel to help others discover these stories.